Lovely. We've just had a little go around to introduce ourselves. And now I'd love to introduce Jane Hope to tell us a little bit about herself and then, about the Quaker Climate Action Plan. Thanks, Jane.
Yeah. Yes, I'm Jane Hope. I've been a member of Victoria Regional Meeting for about just a bit over 20 years. So that's how long I've been a Quaker. I live on border country of the Wurundjeri and the Bunurong peoples in the Dandenong Ranges of what's called Victoria. And I live at Gembrook Retreat. And I've been here for about just over 20 years. And so we're on 22 acres, a mixture of bushland and like orchards and my veggie patch. And we have accommodation that people can book out. So we have a cabin that singles and couples can book out, and then we have our Quaker meeting house and some sleeping pods, which groups can now book out and stay here. It's all off-grid, so it's the type of retreat centre that if you're wanting to unplug and get away, it's a very, very beautiful property, and I feel very privileged to. I think it's only in the last few years that I've realised this property has gone from. So Maggie Dunkel, who was a Quaker elder in Victoria Regional Meeting, bought the property in the 1960s, and at that point it had been totally cleared. There was hardly any trees had been cleared for farming. So she was very into permaculture and began to let the bush come back or plant things. We're really seeing the land turn and turning back, and we're seeing a lot of wildlife return. So the lyrebirds started coming back maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And we're just noticing, the tawny frogmouths and we've always had wallabies and blue-tongued lizards and all of that. But it really is being part of a land that was traumatized. The land was traumatized by being cleared, and that we're being able to, repair and care for the earth. So a lot of what I do here at Gembrook Retreat is not only connect to country myself, but help others to come here and connect to country. When people stay here, they can book in for spiritual direction if they want. So I'm a qualified spiritual director, which basically means I love to know what's going on with people's souls while they're here. I just really love being able to offer that to people who come on retreat. And then the other kind of work that I do a fair bit of at the moment is decolonising work and around truth telling. And I do that as a coloniser inheritor. So I'm 6th generation coloniser inheritor, and my family came from England in 1841 and lived on Gunditjmara land. I do a lot of work and a lot of encouraging people to know their history and enter into the story of colonisation as a way to really connect with the story of colonisation and then be able to work out what is ours to do. So that's kind of a bit about me. I'm going to be leading a course at Silver Wattle in February about one of my loves, which is the work of Joanna Macy, which often gets called the work that reconnects. She's written a book called Active Hope, which is what the workshop is called in terms of that part of the work. And then my recent love in the Quaker Earth Care Plan, which has been an interesting one because I realised that a lot of Quakers actually don't know about the Quaker Earth Care Plan. You happy for me to just launch into this, Lisa?
Yeah, absolutely. I just remembering we talked about our acknowledging country and a little bit about the treaty as well, but that could come, I mean, the treaty, talking about that little bit could be later, but, and also whether, when's the right time when we want a little bit of silence as well. So
I'm happy to do that now. Yeah.
yeah, I think we
Yep.
might just settle in with a minute or
Yep.
so of some silence, and you might yes, reflect on what you might know or not know or want to know about the Quaker Climate Action Plan and about the yeah, Earth Care as our testimony, because Jane is, we're here in a good place to ask those questions. So let's just have a moment of silence to settle in before we listen to Jane some more. Thank you, friends. I was saying, because we're all from places all over the country, an acknowledgement I like to say, and that I have on my Earth Care board game, is that always was, always will be Aboriginal land across this country. And I was saying to Jane how excited I am about the treaty in Victoria. So we might talk about that later if there's some time. But yes, I think it was lovely. I was listening to the Sustainable Hour podcast the other day, which comes from Geelong, and the young man who was being talked to there is a very big thing with rising tide is that First Nations justice is climate justice. So making that connection is super relevant. And I'm looking forward to coming down to Melbourne for the 12th of December when the treaty is public event is being celebrated. Yeah. So over to you, Jane.
Yeah, thanks. So I first kind of became aware of the Quaker Earth Care Plan at yearly meeting in Adelaide, which I guess was just about 2 years ago. And that was when the Quaker committee, that was the Climate Emergency and Species Extinction Group, were presenting this plan and how Quakers, what sorts of actions Quakers could be taking in response to the climate emergency and species extinction. Now, there might be some people on this call that were part of that. Were you part of that, Ro? You're just on mute.
I was sort of ex officio. I was
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I wasn't officially nominated to be part of it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I would say as a Quaker, I kind of looked on the sidelines as I saw this group meeting and discussing and working out things. But when I was at yearly meeting and they presented this plan, And it had I think there's 6 or 7 ways that Quakers can respond. I found that a fantastic document for us to work with. And I mean, I'll talk about Joanna Macy's work after this, but part of that is because what I really learnt from Joanna Macy's work is that she categorizes kind of the way we can respond into 3 groups. But what her work really showed me, or really helped me to do, was here are all the ways we can respond. What's mine to do? So for me to not feel like I have to do it all, to not feel bad about if I'm not doing one of them. So, you know, one of them is activism, you know, so if I'm not able to do activism at the moment, I don't need to feel bad about that, or it's just about what is mine to do at the moment. And then a real understanding that we actually need them all. So how do we be in solidarity with each other? And this I found really liberating. I found, yeah, I can work out what is mine to do. And then, yeah, rather than have any kind of emotions of, you know, that I could have of feeling bad that I'm not doing everything, actually, I can work out ways to support the other people and be in solidarity with them. And I guess as her work tries to do, this just made me feel way more hopeful and way more good about what I was doing and how I could support others. So I might get you to just get that document up, Lisa. There's a beautiful picture in the document. Here it is. That looks at the different ways that is suggested for how Quakers might want to respond. So I'll just read through them. I'll go from the right around. So we've got hearing and supporting First Nations people. We've then got taking action, public witness and actions, repairing the earth, doing educating and mentoring, mourning loss and instilling hope, putting our finances to work, and then writing our relationship with the earth. So when I saw this at yearly meeting, interestingly, I had never been on a Quaker committee before, and I was 50 and I wasn't really looking for doing that. But yeah, when I saw this, I thought, oh, this is a really clear model that I feel I would love to support Quakers in working out what is theirs to do, and then how can we work in solidarity together. So what was formed from Adelaide yearly meeting is what's called the Earth Care Network. And so it's kind of our job to try and help Quakers implement this plan. And so I put my hand up to go on that, and now I'm on 3 Quaker committees. So it does become catchy. Yeah, so I mean, the actual plan goes for about 4 pages, and I think being on the network, I mean, Ro's on it as well. I think it's been interesting. There's kind of two aspects, I would say. One is that if you start to look at well, what Quakers are already doing work in these areas, there really is just so much that we can gather. So recently I've been writing to different Quakers who are already actively participating in repairing the earth. And just all the groups that Quakers are part of, and what they're connected in with. is quite inspiring, and quite, I would say, helpful for me in terms of, here are the types of groups that Quakers are involved in that are repairing the earth. So on one hand, I think it's quite a positive thing in terms of, how much Quakers are already doing. And yet there does seem to be this other part of it where a whole lot of Quakers don't know about the Earth Plan. And there are quite a lot of Quakers who just really don't know how to actually engage with it. And so one of the things I hope to do at the course is for us to actually, look at it, and use the Joanna Macy work to help us look at, one, don't get overwhelmed. You don't have to do it all, but look at perhaps what might be yours to do, or what might be for your meeting to do, but also how to look at what isn't yours to do, but what Quakers are doing something there, and how can you support or be in solidarity with them. So that's kind of my relationship with the Quaker Earth Care Plan. I'm happy if there are any questions or.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Would you like me to just scroll through any more of it or stop sharing? What do you think? I'm just giving a little overview of what is there. I'm guessing you can still see that.
Yeah.
Right relationship. It's great to have that connection in this one about hearing and supporting First Nations people with exactly like that, the winter school course that I came to that you led last in Adelaide, that time was about the effects of colonialism and decolonizing.
Yeah.
Really good that it's all part of this plan.
Yeah, definitely.
Then they're putting our finances to work is all that, sort of divesting, putting your money in the right places, getting it out of not good places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like.
I was going to say that one about grief and despair. I find it really interesting just how many people working for change are feeling the despair, and I do wonder whether that's a type of space that Quakers could be offering people. I mean, last Friday I was sitting at a meeting with a group of like anarchists, Marxists, them trying to work out, what are we doing on the left? It's all falling apart, nothing's working. And the main speaker said, we've got two problems, and the first problem is our collective grief as to what is happening in the world, and we have no hope. And I was not expecting to hear that amongst these pretty radical left, kind of communist Marxist people. But that was, and I would say they're not quite sure how to do it. They're not, So I think that is, perhaps something that I feel like Quakers can hold. We can hold people's despair or pain or suffering.
I like how the way the actions are grouped in terms of things applicable to individuals and things applicable to corporate or group things to do. That's really nice. So even, one of those ones at the end about just doing our own biodiversity in our gardens is our individual thing that we can do. And that's great. So, thanks, Sharon. That's great.
Yes. Bye.
Thanks for coming. So other people got some questions? I want to probe Jane a little bit, or otherwise we'll move on. I wanted to hear from her about what Active Hope means to Jane, but do you have any questions about the action plan or about the actual course and what we might be doing there? I'm planning to be there the 12th to the 15th of February, and I'm hoping that we'll get a lovely, gathering of people from as many places as we can. Yeah.
Lisa, I think there are some things that are really interesting, because we start a permaculture course for something we call global problems, which are basically climate change and ocean pollution and air quality and all the basic groups that the SDGs are organised around. And we offer a range of possibilities of hope for people. So some of them have a religious belief, they may be Islamic. Some of them have a deep time view that the earth will eventually right itself and we just passengers going through a period and part of this. Some people just want to be part of the solution because we don't really know that there's such a condemnation. There's no need to despair. And I'm reminded of an Afghan woman who said, "Don't cry for me, work for me." So we could sit around crying, but maybe we'd be better working. And we offer people a range of options for their spiritual and even psychological position. And we usually end up with something for everyone. If people choose, God will look up this, or someone will say time, or there's something happening and we're too small and can't see it, and we don't see well, and we're not agents of prophecy, we can, and then someone else say, so long as we're part of the solution. So we work out about 8 or 10 different things and get people to discuss them according to their sense of preference. It's not quite the same as what you're talking about, Jane, but it's similar because we deal early and then move on to solutions.
Yeah.
Can I just say also that, I mean, I've resonated very much, Jane, with what you've said, both about, haven't been to Gembrook, but a friend of mine, Doug Amarfi, took his 2 kids there at last Quaker meeting. You might remember them. But my relationship to everything you've said there, one of the first responses, "Oh, I'm not doing enough. I can't connect," as I spend a lot of time weeding my garden, trying to get it back to native vegetation. But I realize that my main connection is through looking at literature and art, particularly poetry, and the way vision, creative, imaginative vision, is a way of connecting people with the environment in a new and astonishing way. And you may not be aware of the fact that I've done a couple of courses on the poetry of Judith Wright for Silver Wattle. And, she's a poet who embraces the landscape and the indigenous people amazingly, and really calls people into a deeper resonance with the landscape and its significance. And in fact, I'm hoping to run that again, because the last one, there was a lack of attendees. We only had 4 people turned up, so that didn't happen, but it's happening in April. So shortly, on piggybacking on your course, I'm hoping to have another Judith Wright session there.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, fantastic. Anybody else want to make a comment about the plan or the course? No. Well, Jane, we might move on to talking about what does the Joanna Macy and the ecology. I've had 2010 I did the deep ecology course with John Seed. I was very lucky to do that here on the Central Coast, and he lives just down the road from me at Narara Eco Village. So tell us a bit about your experience with the Active Hope and Joanna Macy's teachings.
So Joanna Macy was, I guess, an environmental activist for most of her life. So she's only just recently passed away. I think she was 96. So some of you may have known her work much longer than me. I feel like I was very late to discover Joanna Macy. But I did discover her during the lockdowns of COVID, and there was a woman, Claire Dunn, who was running kind of 4-week, like a weekly session over 4 weeks for people to look at her work. And it was, for me, it was one of those transforming times, and it really did help me identify actually how I was feeling about life at the moment, and the times that we live in, and climate change and what is going on in the world. And I was able to realize that I'm a pretty positive person. I like people, I talk to people, I'm generally pretty happy, but I was able to recognize that deep down actually I was pretty upset and confused and angry, and not really knowing how I was like helping in any way. So yeah, her work really was able to take me, recognize that, and take me out of that. And I'm sure there are loads of reasons why she developed this work, but the one that I kind of understand is that over her decades of doing activism, she really saw, lots of us who are working for change have times of burnout or get overwhelmed, like describing how I was overwhelmed with things. And I guess she saw what she saw were there were some practices that perhaps we weren't doing, or that we could do, that could help us move from that place of kind of overwhelm and burnout. So I mean, usually whenever you do the work of Joanna Macy, you go around this spiral, and it's a spiral of 4 practices, which is what we will do on the course at Silver Wattle. And in many ways, what she suggests a lot to do in these stages as you go around the spiral, in lots of ways, are very simple. And I think they do. They also have lots of Quakerly traits, like a lot of the exercises around just giving someone a chance to speak and be witnessed and heard and not interrupted, which Quakers are pretty good at that. So the first part of the spiral is gratitude. And so there's lots of kind of practices to talk about, what you love, what do you love about being alive at the moment? What was a wonderful thing that happened in your childhood? And just a chance to share a lot of the things that we are grateful for. And she talks about this being a revolutionary act, because the world and, our society at the moment can very much tell us that we need loads of things to be happy. You need this deodorant, you need that house, you need all this stuff, but if you just come back to actually a lot of the things that you love, that can just fill your cup up and remind you that we have this wonderful life that we're living. And that was actually the part on gratitude, was actually what transformed me. Had I not done anything else, because what I realized is I'd absolutely lost my gratitude, and everywhere I looked, I saw colonization, I saw problem. When you just, everything you look at is just wrong. And I mean, I can share more of this on the course, but a big one for me was I absolutely loved all 4 of my grandparents. I had a wonderful relationship with them. They've all passed away, but I had, because of colonization and what my family have been part of, I had so much anger towards them. And so the activity around what was a wonderful part of your childhood, I just talked about my grandfather, and I hadn't done that for a long time. And what it made me do is I realized if I've lost my gratitude, that's a wake-up call for me that I'm spiraling downwards. So once we've filled ourselves up with gratitude, we then move to the pain section, and this is where we get to share what is painful for us at the moment in the world. What are we upset about? What are we despairing about? And usually what's just really powerful is just having space to just be able to say it, and no one's trying to fix it or tell you what to do or tell you, oh no, you shouldn't feel that. You just get to say it. And one of the things Joanna Macy says is, once we speak our despair, we don't stay there. When you speak it, and then you can move with it. Often I talk about, you can kind of live your life with some painful mantra, like, gee, I hate living in this house. And if that's the mantra you're living with, and you never speak it out, you never talk about it, then you just stay there, and it's just kind of there. So a real encouragement for us to talk about our despair. And then, so those first two stages of the spiral are very much about our little bubble that we're living in, and us personally. And then the third stage is looking at seeing with new eyes, or sometimes seeing with ancient eyes. And this really takes us to, we're in this much bigger picture. And usually we start looking at, well, what does inspire us, and what are people doing that we're really encouraged by. And then we do some wonderful exercises that are around looking at and talking with not just our ancestors, but the future people, where we will be an ancestor to. And that it's a really powerful exercise to talk about what we're doing now, and to hear from our descendants about what effect that had. And it's quite a powerful activity to get you thinking bigger than just your own life, but also using your imagination, like what Michael was just talking about with what you can do with poetry, is kind of using your imagination and what is possible. And then finally, what I really love about this work is, while those first three stages are quite doing work on yourself and where you're at, the final stage is going forth and looking at, well, given what has come up in those three stages, what is yours to do? How do you want to participate in active hope? And the way she describes active hope is kind of looking at, what are you hopeful for? What are you hoping is going to happen? And how can you actively do some things to help what you're hoping will happen come about? So I really love, it sounds like the permaculture course that you're talking about, Ro, has these two aspects, because I think you can find lots of spaces where you're just doing work on yourself, and then you can find spaces where you're doing, actions and work, and not necessarily looking at yourself. So I really like the way both of those are part of this work. Are there any questions? And I might say, Shannon has, so we've run Active Hope workshops here, and Shannon's helped us run them. So feel free to add in anything, Shannon.
But, that'd be great.
But maybe if there's I suppose, as I was saying, with the going forth section, I really liked, the three categories she puts them in is doing actions, creating good systems and ways of living, and then shift of consciousness. And she really talks about how we need all three, but you don't have to do all three, or you might move amongst them, but a whole lot of it is not trying to get overwhelmed, but being able to work out what is yours to do. And one thing I really love is with the shift in consciousness. So that's, how do we think and understand things? And so we can do that with discussions, and and I'm really grateful that there's been this shift in my lifetime around kind of how, certainly within the scene I'm in, how we're relating to Mother Earth and creation. Like, there's a real shift from that. There's a massive shift in how I relate to Indigenous people compared to my family that arrived 6 generations. So just this shift in consciousness. But one thing I love about this is, like, we need the thinkers and people discussing, but shifting consciousness also happens with the people who write poems, the music, the drama that we're doing, like that's all part of, the songs that we sing, that can all help us with with our shift in consciousness.
No, that's great. I've got a question for you, Jane. I'm wondering about the course in February, how it would work, or would it be a good place for someone who's not a Quaker to come to?
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to talk to Quakers about the Quaker Earth Care Plan. But if there are people coming who aren't Quakers, I've certainly got like what we will do. So I do a lot of nature connection work throughout the workshop, and then we will go through the spiral. And then when it comes to the going forth, while I'm encouraging Quakers to actually look at the Quaker Earth Care Plan, certainly non-Quakers can absolutely participate at that point and work out what is theirs to do. But there has been quite a lot of Quakers, who don't know about the Earth Care Plan, or don't know how to engage with it. Like, do find it a bit overwhelming, or how do I put this into practice? Or
Great. And I see Sheila's got her hand up. Sheila.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's really we've just done a whole year course called Food for the Soul. It's entirely Quakerly based, and we have 2 people in that course who are not Quakers and who are quite, really benefiting from it. They love it. They're soaking it up. So I think we shouldn't assume that just because it says Quaker on it, that people won't relate to it. And also the other thing is that, Joanna Macy is another construct and a way of thinking, and we're not being worried about that we're not in her fan club, So I think the answer for that is, of course, non-Quakers could come. Anybody who's interested in, in the future of the planet can come.
Yeah. I just wonder how we might be able to share it more widely in other networks to do that. And that's, and how we describe it, and sort of, because, potentially it could be something that we have, like the posters that were wonderful that you made. We should have them at Rising Tide. But
that's a great idea.
Look at them and say, is the language, have we got the language right to make sure people feel welcome, or just to even add that, you don't have to be a Quaker to come to this course.
I could get Samara, who made the poster, I could get her to do one for Rising Tide that would encourage non-Quakers to come.
I think that'd be great. I think that'd be lovely. Well, we've basically got about 10 minutes left in our hour. So if I don't know if there are more questions or things about whether to say in here, even if everybody here might be a little bit familiar with Silver Wattle, a little bit what to expect about the place? Because if you've been there for some family camps, haven't you, Jane?
Yeah, and a course. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So maybe we'll just say a little bit, if someone's watching this recording and they've never been there, let's just tell them a little bit about Silver Wattle. And haven't got Libby there yet. So yeah, so it's near Bungendore. So it's at the end of Lake Road on the is it Wirraway? Wirrawa, which otherwise known as Lake George. And you can get there by public transport on the train to Bungendore, which is great, or you can be picked up from Canberra. That's all these options are in the booking system. You can let people know how you're arriving and if you need help. And it's a who'd like to have a go describing the accommodation there? Because I have camped there as well as stayed in the rooms. Who'd like to say a little bit, or chip in your memories of what do you love about Silver Wattle Quaker Centre?
Well, what I love about Silver Wattle Quaker Centre is the trees. I just find them, they sing to me. I love them. The elder trees in particular. And the roos, they come right up to the, they eat, when the drought was on, they were actually eating the roses, which was tragic. But yeah, the sleeping quarters are in a little pod of 3 single rooms that share a bathroom. And it's quite comfortable, quite simple. The food is always fabulous.
Food is
We eat it
amazing.
mostly out of our own garden.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's a lovely, lovely place to be. And you feel, even though it's only 20-minute drive from Bungendore, 40-minute drive from Canberra, you feel like you're in outer Mongolia. It's really, you're just somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place.
And there's a wonderful, I call it a mountain, but it's a hill, an hour's walk from the back of the sleeping places. And from the top of that hill, you have this amazing view over the whole of Lake George and the environment beyond. And there's a fabulous road that you can walk in the early morning and watch the sun rising over Lake George. So it's got some wonderful aspects of being in touch with nature there.
Yeah, it does. And I love the old shearing shed. It's got 2 composting toilets in for campers. To anyone who camps down there, in an old it's like an old stable that's kind of like basic outdoor kitchen option. Yeah, it's yeah, the trees, the animals, the birds are fantastic. The veggie garden, the worm farms, the chooks. It's just, it's a great place, and it will be having also land care weeks there during next year, but not so many courses. We're one of the last courses happening while there's going to be some work done in the next year. So I think it's the poetry one might be the last official one on the program, apart from the land care week. So it's a great chance to come, and it's just a sort of 3-night course we're doing, isn't it, Jane? Yeah.
Does it go from the Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday the 12th.
Oh yeah,
13, 14, and we go home on the 15th. Yeah.
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 And I was going to say, if there are people who need help financially, I think most regional meetings are happy to support people, or peace and social justice groups, or
and Thanksgiving fund.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yes, if you don't know those contacts, reach out to us or through Silver Wattle and say, that you need some help with finances, and we can help make that happen.
Nancy Shelley's put $10,000 with each regional meeting, so that anyone who would like to deepen their knowledge of Quakers, so they might be in a small meeting with 3 or 4 or something like that, or 8 or 10 or something, if they would like to be with another group and have a different experience, then there's $10,000 sitting in each. It's been sent out to the treasurers, so it's there. And what I love about Silver Wattle is that it's almost as unique as a Uluru. And if you talk to Anne Ryan, who's a geologist, the sense of wonder when she brings a handful of 300,000-year-old soil contained in rock, or she talks about the fact it's one of the 2 lakes in the world which in the southern hemisphere, which has no outlet and not fed by rivers. It's just the watershed, and the hills flow into it, and then it evaporates, and there's very little loss to the water table underneath, and it's almost completely unique. And for me, the one that gets my heart, because there are so few here, are the little birds, because there's so much under threat from loss of understory, and it just does something wonderful to my heart to see the small birds safe and moving around the place. So there's the sheer beauty of it, and there's the wonder of it as a special place in Australia. And then there's just being at the end of a road. I think it's a privilege to have access to that place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really a privilege.
Yeah. No, it's a wonderful place. So yes, we'll hope that some people who watch this recording will sign up. And to do that, you just go to the website for Silver Wattle Quaker Centre and to the events program drop-down tab, and you'll see the Quaker Climate Action Plan and Active Hope course on the 12th to the 15th of February 2026. Yeah, so thank everybody for coming and joining us this evening, and thank you, Jane, for sharing with us and giving us a little taste of what we can look forward to when we spend time together in person and eating all that beautiful food that Sam cooks, who's the most amazing garden cook. And yeah, would you like a last word, Jane, and then we'll stop the recording and say goodbye?
Yeah, no, just thanks. That was great. Good to talk it out before it actually happens. And I'll see many of you at Rising Tide.
Yes, we will see you there. We'll see you there. Thanks, everybody. That's
Okay.
great.